Being able to play constant, consistent 16th notes with your lead hand, which for me is my right hand. If you're left-handed, that would be your left hand. But for me to play these 16th notes in my right hand, it was something that I actually had to work on. I started really trying to refine this once I was, I think, in my 30s. I had already had a lot of rudimental background, and I had already been playing a lot of New Orleans funk, and I had been on the road for years. So you would have thought I would have had this together, but I started to realize, oh yeah, rudimental stuff is all hand to hand. New Orleans funk, the way I was doing it, is all hand to hand. So playing these constant, consistent 16th notes, if you don't address it directly, then you can be at a loss when you get called upon to do these. I was starting to prepare for groove alchemy, and I was working on a lot of these classic grooves, classic funk grooves, things played by James Gadson, things played by Clyde Stubblefield. So funky drummer, I wanted to demonstrate that and the importance of it, and I realized, man, I had some work to do before I could really demonstrate this in a way that I was proud of. Also, Galactic was starting to write some tunes where it would be more fitting for me to play some 16th note grooves with the right hand. So I had been shedding some of the Jojo Mayer Secret Weapons for the Modern Drummer, which I highly recommend if you haven't checked that out yet. That's a fantastic DVD and educational project where Jojo really demonstrates all these techniques that a lot of people have been wondering about for a long time. I'll never be able to do all the things that Jojo does in this DVD, but just shedding some of this stuff and playing along while he played it at slower tempos, it started helping me develop techniques that now I utilize a lot in my playing. So Jojo demonstrated push-pull or open-close, and you could even maybe think of this as a mini molar, but what it is you drop the stick and then you pick it up. And I started practicing this in very slow motion, and I'm going to demonstrate what this motion is to you now. So the way Jojo was demonstrating it and the way that a lot of people do it is they drop it and they pick it up. And I must have practiced this for a good bit with a practice pad in front of watching a movie, right? And you can do that, and maybe you even want to do it with a click, playing very lightly. And you can do that when you're by yourself. You may not want to do that when you're with your significant other. That might not be so great for your relationship. But I would practice these things in slow motion, and then I started trying to be able to play these grooves, these 16th note grooves, and I had to get these 16th notes out by any means necessary. So what started to happen is that I noticed, oh, this is getting easier. I'm able to play these 16th notes. But what I was doing, and this is just what came naturally to me, is I finally realized after a while, I was playing them in a close, open, instead of open, close, close. But that's just what was coming naturally to me after practicing these motions in slow motion. So you're going to have to practice some of these things in slow motion and then figure out what feels natural for you. So now I'm going to demonstrate the push-pull, open-close, but keep in mind I'm playing it kind of close-open or pull-push in a way. So I'm doing it almost in a reverse way. So let me demonstrate it just on the hi-hat, and then we'll get into a groove. Three E and a, 4 E and a. I'm going to demonstrate the 16th notes on the hi-hat with the push-pull, but keep in mind I'm doing it the way that I feel comfortable, which is really more like a pull-push. But I'm going to demonstrate that just with the 16th notes now, and you can work on this and do it whichever way you feel comfortable. Now I'm going to add a very simple bass drum and snare drum part to this. And remember, you want to keep this push-pull or pull-push, however you're doing it. You want to keep this nice and relaxed when you start adding the bass drum and the snare. Now we're going to add an extra bass drum note on beat 3, and just remember to stay relaxed with your lead hand motion. So now we're going to add some accents to the eighth notes. Keep in mind, my push-pull is kind of reversed, so I'm going to be closing my hand on the accent, and it might look a little different than what you're doing, but just keep working on what's comfortable for you. This is what's comfortable for me, and you've got to figure out how you're going to be able to do this in a way that feels natural to you. And now we'll add beat 3 to that on the bass drum. When working on these different techniques to play 16th notes, I like to apply these techniques to Funky Drummer. Admittedly, this is jumping ahead a good bit, but if I can play Funky Drummer with whatever 16th note technique that I'm working on, then I know that I'm really making some progress. There are a lot of intricacies in this beat. There are a lot of grace notes, a lot of dynamics, and the upbeat 16th notes on the E's and Ahs in the left hand, that's going to be challenging, and especially hitting that last 16th note before beat 4. Man, you're going to have to spend some time shedding that. But if you use this as your gold standard and you work towards this with your 16th notes, whichever 16th note technique you're trying to work on, if you can play Funky Drummer with whatever 16th note technique that you're using, you're going to be on the right track. You may notice I've simplified this just a touch. I'm intentionally leaving out the little open hi-hat shoops because, man, that is a lot to focus on. So I just want you to focus on your right hand 16th note motion. And once you get comfortable, then you can add in the 16th note upbeat shoops that Clyde Stubblefield adds. And it depends on which bar you heard that was sampled. Different producers have sampled either one bar or the other bar, and it depends on which bar was sampled as to where the shoops are. But this is just to get you comfortable and get you to where you can aspire to something to add these 16th note techniques to. So I really like to add it to Funky Drummer. We're simplifying it just a little bit, but you can add in those shoops once you get really comfortable. The original version of Funky Drummer does not have accents on the eighth notes, but I do believe that you should have that skill for when you need it. Since Funky Drummer is going to be what we aspire to when we can apply these 16th note techniques, we're going to add in the accents just for exercise. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Also hit that notification bell so you can be notified when I'm coming out with new lessons. So I really appreciate y'all watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see y'all down the line.